Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to learn in physical geology and geomorphology about the river, its characteristics, changes, and various landforms along its courses. The basic objective or the learning outcome of this will be that you will be able to understand various mechanism and how different landforms are formed on the entire coastline of the rivers. Okay, so let's try to first of all understand what is drainage basin. Okay, a drainage basin is comprising of various tributaries, catchment areas, uh, small streams or sources, or area of confluences of various tributaries or streams into the main river system. Okay, so tributaries are the where small river system join the catchment area form are which water drains into a particular drainage basin, and the source is basically having small ephemeral streams or channels of water which is joining with the tributaries. It can be glacier fed, or it can be seasonal due to rain fed channels. A confluence is a area or is a place where these tributaries joins the main river system. The entire thing together is called watershed, and a watershed is generally divided by a drainage basin from a, by a with a ridge or a highland in between. So it is separated by a little highland in between when two different watershed areas are differentiated. And river mouth is the area where river meets the ocean or the sea. So that is called mouth of the river. Okay. The features of a drainage basin on this map you can see here. These brown lines are contours, okay, and this blue small lines are uh, streams. Okay, so these contours are showing the height of that feature. As from higher feature, it is coming flowing to a lower feature or land and joining at different confluence. So these are the boundaries. Okay, so all these small veins, blue veins that you can see are part of the tributary of the watershed. Okay, which we are going to do it further. On the long profile of the river, change in the in the river as it goes down the stream from the to the source of the or the river mouth. Okay, so like here, if you see at A, that is the upper course of the river, point B is the middle course of the river, and point C is the lower course of the river. Now, if you go back to this image, you will have this A that shows it's an upper course of the river. Point B, these are middle course of the river, and point C is the lower course of the river. Okay, so similarly, all the river system have these three courses, that is upper course, middle course, and lower course. So it depends on the various gradients. So as we come from upper course, the gradient or the slope is very steep, is high. We have a high slope in this area, that is upper course of the river. And the water velocity is also very high. When you come to the middle course, that is um, uh, the elevation or the slope gradient is gradual, uh, not very gradual, but it is less than the upper course. So it has a gradual slope, and water slowly the velocity of the water also decreases. Okay, and again have certain amount of depositions also. And then we come to lower course, where the elevation is minimum, with very gradual slope, and hence there is the maximum number of deposition which happens in the lower course of the river, okay, before it meets the ocean or the sea. No, right? So the upper course is very steep, and has a fast flowing river with little water, and lots of erosional activities happen on the upper course of the river. So you will have a lot of erosional land features there, right? So if you see here in this image, you will see this is a cross section of a valley which is showing it's vertically cutting down a valley, and water amount is minimum, and the channel cross section is so less that there are big boulders here. Then in the middle course, when the river starts to slow down, the velocity of the water flow in the river slows down comparatively from the upper course. So more water is collected, and it formulates more like a U shape or an H shape valley. There's a lateral erosion. One is on the upper course, there's a vertical erosion which happens. On the middle course, there's a lateral erosion. That means erosional activities happens from the sidewise. So that's why it gets wider. Okay. So the lateral erosion causes widening of the valley, right? So and still the erosion is still there with the minimum amount of depositions there. Then we come to lower course of the river, that is very water flows in the water flow in the river is very slow, almost sluggish. More water is collected here, so you will able to see large amount of water flowing from here. It has a wider valley, wider section containing lot of large amount of water, and the speed of the water is also slow. So here the erosion is minimum, and it and it has more of a deposition along its coastline. Okay. All right. So, what are the main features of a river? Let's come again here. Long profile features. Let's see. On the upper course, it has a steep slope towards the lower section of the rivers. So it has a steep slope, like when it moves like this. In the middle course, the slope towards the mouth of the river is, it is more towards the mouth of the river, but the steepness is lesser. And the lower course is almost, it meets the sea or the ocean, and it has a very gentle slope towards the mouth of the river. The cross section profile says that the steep side that has a V-shaped valley, the river channel is deep in certain places. Uh, Similarly, in middle course, V-shaped valley remains there, but it is little bit wider than the upper course. So the V-shaped valley still remains here, and it has a wider uh, cutting and section. So river starts to meander little bit across the river channels, and begins to widen and becomes a deeper section of the river. On the lower course, it has a wide and shallow valley with long, very large floodplains. So it has a very large floodplains, and rivers meanders a lot. It meanders almost like a snake, right? So the river is meandering a lot at the lower course of the river. The river channel is wider and has a deep and smooth edges of the side. There is more depositions here which happens. Okay, so let's talk about deposition, erosion and deposition activities at the upper, middle, and the lower course. The erosion and deposition activities that happens at the upper course is primarily vertical erosion through accretion, abrasion, and hydraulic action. A large boulder deposited and eroded in the erode in suit of the water motion. Similarly, when we come to middle course, it continues to erode. Vertical erosion continues, but it also has a lateral or a horizontal erosion. Lateral erosion means it starts cutting from the edges. That's why the V-shaped valley is wider at the middle course of the river. So so it begins to cut lateral as it gets closer to the base level. The deposition occurs in a slower moving inside of the meander. So whenever the river is meandering, the inside curve of the meander of the river will have most of the deposition there. So then we have on the lower course, it is primarily cuts. The mostly it cuts the lateral cutting or lateral erosion is more prominent in lower course of the river, as it has almost reached the base level. Okay, so because it has the lesser elevation, water is sluggish. It has an erosion does take place, but the lateral erosion in a very slow speed. So the erosion and the erosive energy of the river is almost concentrated on the cutting of the side of the river. So the side of the bank gets wider, so much deposition will happen in these part of the river system. So there are more depositional land features which are happening here in the rivers. So then we come to transportation on the upper course of the river is basically attrition and saltation. Attrition is when it erodes everything, and saltation is when it makes it into a loop, when things goes into a hopping manner. Then in the middle course, attrition, suspension, and solution happens. Okay, and at the lower course, main suspension and solution is the main erodive or corrosive transportation. Then we have features like interlocking spurs at the upper course. Interlocking spurs, the valley looks like this, like we have interlocking fingers, it looks like this. So interlocking, spurs. So spurs are like the are risen fingers. These fingers are called spurs, and they are interlocking. So mountain valleys look like interlocking between each other, and the lower part is the coastline of the river. So it happens in the upper coast. So interlocking of spurs, waterfall happens. Steep waterfalls, you come across various waterfalls on the upper course of the river. Then you have V-shaped valleys and gorges on the upper course of the rivers. Then in the middle course, you have meandering of the rivers. When river meanders, like it winds like this, and on the winding portion, the inner wind, when a river is winding like this, and the inner part will have a more depositional features. Okay, so slip of slopes or oxbow lakes happens in these areas. Then in the lower course of the river, okay, in the middle course you also have levees, levee formation, and oxbow lake formation in these areas. And in the lower course, delta, floodplain, and levee meanders and oxbow lakes are very common in the lower course of the river. Okay, these are the features. Now velocity, let's talk about the water velocity. The velocity here is relatively slow moving and deposit areas of vast flowing water. The large amount of material on the river channel, deepens and means of friction and slow water, slow the water down as it moves up. The water has increased. Now the water increases in, and as the speed of the channel widens, and becomes a smoother water flow, and some boulders cause friction to show it down a little, to basically slow it down a little. There are some boulders in between. So then you have the lower course, the fastest section of the river is as the channel is wider, so with very smooth side on the greater, and has a greater volume of water in it. Okay, now this is an upper course of a river, like I was talking about the spurs. So if you see here, these are looking like this, interlocking of your finger like this. So these are called spurs. These highlands in the between are called spurs. They are interlocking. This is a upper course of river. Now, basically you need to know and understand the formation of landforms in the river of the upper course to understand the process of operating the river on the upper courses. Okay, so there are three processes taking place in this areas, that is erosion, transportation, and deposition. All these are processes shape the river valleys, and through weathering and mass movement also happens in this. Okay, now shaping the river valley, there are also two other processes that shapes the river valley. They are weathering and mass movement. Weathering is like it is basically breaking down of the rock material, and mass movement is when movement of these broken down material or eroded material down the slope, and along with the rocky rock materials and gravels along with it. Okay, so weathering and mass movement is basically we have landslides, various types of landslides like rock fall, debris fall, mudslide. All these things are part of mass movements. So rock fall into pieces, falls into pieces. Water gets into the cracks. It opens the cracks in the rocks and widens the rock furthermore, and water freezes and expanding it. So weathering process can be climate based. It can be due to when water freezes in these cracks and crevices, it expands and hence cracking the rock furthermore. Then biological agents of weathering will be rock collapse or falls apart. It loosens and cracks appears on it, and these are under root the movement of the animals or plants growing into these crevices or digging under the rock or cracks are the biological cause. So animals can dig into it or try to break it, can cause weathering, and also plants growing from the crevices and widening the cracks can also be part of weathering. Then chemical rocks, that rock begins to wear away and break up when water constrained and on the weak hinges, and water having high acidic values will further dissolve the weaker or the easily soluble materials on the rock, and those and leaving out the harder section loose, and then with the flow of the water it is washed away. Okay, the erosion process, it matches up with the key with the definition is that it has abrasion, corrosion, hydraulic action, and attrition. So when river is loaded with material in suspension or and soars away the river banks, it is the sheer force of the river that impacts on the side of the river banks. It is its substance that carries in solutions such as acids. This dissolve rocks away, and or along the period of it times it is when the bedrock collides into each other with the current flow of the breakdown in the smaller particulates. Abrasion is when the river is loaded with material in suspension, and the sources are away in the river banks. So what happens is it acts as a when it is moving against a harder surface, corroded surface, and it breaks further more. That is abrasion. It is more like a frictional effect, or like a sandpaper effect. Okay, so hydraulic action is a shear force of river impacting on the side of the river banks. Okay, corrosion is substances carried in solution such as acids. They dissolve rock away over long period of time. Attrition is when bed loads collide into each other with current flow and breaks down into smaller pieces. Then we have attraction, saltation, suspension, and solution. Traction is when large rocks and boulders are rolled down. Traction. It is dragged down along the river bed with the force of the water which is flowing, and it happens in times when when it happens. The force of the water is very high. Saltation is also when smaller stones is similar to traction but not exactly. When smaller stones along with the turbulence in the water, it bounces on the riverbed and again leaps back, again it bounces back, and it is moving along along in the same pattern is called saltation. Then we have suspension, where small grains of sand and silts are carried along with the water. In solutions, where some materials are dissolved, like sugar in a cup of tea. So what happens is, when we you know try to dissolve sugar in water, it dissolves away. So similarly, a rock material or salt, when we try to dissolve it in water, it dissolves away. So similarly, when a rock material may have many salts, soluble based of material in the rocks, and when water is there, it dissolves away those solution soluble material, and leaving out the hard material behind. So where a material is dissolved and is carried downstream occurs often in the time, in areas like limestones and landscapes where water is very acidic. It happens in those areas. Okay, so the method of transportations we will see here. Traction is when big boulders are rolled down. Saltation is when pebbles and small rock materials are bobbing about in the water with the turbulence of the water. Suspension is when small particulates of sand and gravels are suspended in the water. Okay, solution is when it dissolves every all the soluble material from the rock and washes down the stream line. Okay, now this is an upper valley characteristics showing a spur. I have shown you this spur. Okay, that is upper course has a deep V-shaped valley. We can come across waterfall. In case of any fault lines, we will come across waterfall and interlocking spurs. These are the interlocking spurs that we will come across. Okay, so the upper course characterized by as it is a V-shaped valley. See, it is forming like a V here. Okay, deep V valley, and vertical erosion is happening in these areas. Then it is an interlocking spurs it has. So these are the two spurs. If you see, these are interlocking spurs. Okay. Then you have slump and landslide, that are you can see these are soil which has been degraded. These areas where water is cutting away the soil and causing landslides and mass movement. So hence shallowing or narrowing of the river happens. So large bed load driven from upper streams and valley sides are very common in these areas. So this is what you called topographical representation of a, uh river valley, where you can see these are the rivers here. These are the rivers. Okay, and this is a narrow channel which is collecting point of confluence. So this is a direct it shows that no floodplains in the V-shaped valley are there. There is no floodplains because it is a steep valley. Narrow channels are there. Lots of tributaries are joining here. It is separated by highlands. So, and contour lines are very close together. If you see, the contour lines are very close together, and there's a steep gradient of contours closing up together, because as the contour lines are close, it shows that the gradient is very steep. How do we v-shaped valley forms? So this is how it forms. It is like the river discharge is low in the upper course, and so the river only has enough energy to erode downwards, and this is called a vertical erosion. So a river side are slowly broken down through weathering processes. When water is here and it is broken down through weathering processes, it slides down into the riverbed. Hence, it starts widening further more, and this weathered material is transported with, like as is in form of gravels and pebbles towards the river channel, and this process steepens the valley sides. Okay, now the steep sides are now narrow, and valley shape is created in a typical upland river system. Now, interlocking of spurs like V-shaped valleys, interlocking spurs and stream n- uh, not strong enough to on the upper course to erode the interlocked hills. So the stream have to flow around the hills to make it more look like a interlocking of the rivers. So uh, right now, this is showing the river load in upper courses, where the you will come across the boulders or the stones are rounded. The boulders and large and semi-rounded stones are due to attrition within the water load and abrasion with the stream bed on the river banks. There are rapids in upper course of rivers. If you go to Rishikesh, white river rafting is very common. Rishikesh, Manali, you will come across that where river water is flowing very fast. You will come across rapids. So rapids are usually are on the upper course of the rivers. What happens is when there is a resistant or a hard rock on and is sectioned by soft rock, so soft rock gets through solution hydraulic and attrition process, it gets dissolved away, and only hard rocks are left. So water will tend to have more turbulence in it, and this turbulence water are sometimes used as a recreational purposes. So high force waterfall, that is shown here. The waterfall is formed due to the water flow over a cliff or a very steep drop in a river bed system. So this is a water flow that happens. Okay. Now high force water flow, it happens when there is a excessive water discharge in these streams, and or there is a sudden event which can result into sudden rise in the water level, will increase the stream flow or the water flow coming from the waterfall. Formation of waterfall. A waterfall is a steep drop in the course of a river. They form when a band of hard rock resistant rock is lie over a softer and lesser resistant rock. So the softer rock is quickly eroded by the hydraulic action and abrasion, causing the hard rock to be undercut, and the hard rock overhangs until it can no longer be carried its own weight. So the overhanging collapse and the breaking up of in the water below, the great power of the water at the base of the water fall causes a plunge like pool to form. So the bed of the river flow below the waterfall contains boulders eroded by splashback of behind the waterfall. So over time, the process above is frequently repeated, and eventually a steep side gorges form from the water steered up in the streams. So water formation here is like what happens here: hard rock, okay, and soft rock. So hard rock stands as it is, and soft rock gets eroded. So it makes a plunge pool, and so further on, these plunge pools are eroded furthermore, and new plunge and a gorge cut has forming a waterfall along its way. Okay, now if you see here, so what is this? Water resistant rock, forming an overhanging cliff, water flowing, making a plunge pool, and undercutting takes place furthermore. So high force water that are like waterfall creates a gorge upstream as they reside in a steep side valley with no flood plains. Upper course of a river is like highland reservoirs. If you see, it is these are differentiated by two highlands. The steep valley sides are this way. It is shown in this image, and the evidence of the tributaries are showing that these tributaries are coming and joining this river system, right? This is how you're going to read your topo sheets. See, again, river started meandering at it came into the middle course, and as it joins the lower course, the meander widens, and the occurrence of Oxbow Lake also widens. The middle and the lower course of the river, basically, we will need to understand here is the process in the middle and lower course of a river to understand how meander and Oxbow Lake are formed. Right now, the this is a picture showing of a river in a middle course. Here you can see that between the upper and the middle course of the river, you will see that there is a meandering of the water flow. So the process operating in the middle course of the river, that is erosion, is still and has an impact process. So the erosion also has a impact on the middle course. The river is now flowing over flatter land, and so the dominant direction of the river of the erosion is lateral from the side of the river banks. So river has a greater discharge and so has some energy to transport materials. The material that is transported by the river is called its load, and deposition is also an important part and process of when a velocity of a river decreases, for it discharges fall due to a dry spell of weather. So water transforms are more found in middle courses, that is meander, oxbow, deposition, and erosion, creating these types of landforms. If you see, so a meander, a bend in a river, which can match up with the characteristics here. If you see, it is basically a bend in the river, right? Then you have in deep water meandering or deep water, we have gone the gentle slope area of land on the side of the meander. No, the slip of the slope forms on the outskirts behind the modern due to the erosion. Because the gentle slope, there is a lot of fictional, drag, and also there are river flows. Basically, it is dragging all the material along, apart from saltation and suspension and solution. Right. So forest flow, maximum depth of the channel here is like um, asymmetric cross lines profile, and these little function drags from the river, from the bed and to the bank at the point is on also a river can flow at a speed on higher course. So this is how meandering happens in the middle course of the river. Meanders start depositing silt on the inner portion of the curves, because the speed of the flow reduces. Direction of the meanders, uh, again you see here there are depositional land features. This is a depositional land feature, and this is a meandering which happens. Now, cross section through a meander, like if you see a meandering river, you will see at a in a certain area the deposition activity is done at the uh, uh, cross section of the meandering river. So the outer layer shows the it is calmness and the stillness of the water. The inner bed, if you see here, you can see it is not only carrying bigger particulates along the force, it is also carrying its personal belongings, and what you called fast flowing velocity also cut downs, and undercutting also happens here. So river cliff, slip of slopes, areas of deposition, undercutting, inner bend, and fast velocity or outer band happens here. So Oxbow Lake Foundation can also look at the diagram to find the explanation of this phenomena. What happens here is this Oxbow Lake is completely connected with the main river system, and as it gets older it gets detached. Okay, this is how your Oxbow Lake looks like. Okay, now if you see here in this image, let's not see her lower courses of image. The river is that we need to understand what are the different land features which is happening at the lower course of the river. The pictures here shows that the floodplains are wider and the deltas and levees, using your prior knowledge of the river process, come up with the theory to explain how they are formed, and the key word to understand each picture will be clearer. So in first picture it is deposition slow workflow. Then you have uh, what you call slow sea and lake deposition. Lake channels are also blocked due to construction. Then you have main channels. The deposit of flood is a large load on the small channels, or which is going to join in with the main river. Then formation of levees can act as a preventive steps or measures to prevent the disaster. Right. Now, let's understand what is floodplain. Floodplains is the wide and flat area of land on either side of the river. In like in it, the middle and the lower course is also uh, included. So levees are natural embankment of the silt along the bank of the river, which are often several times higher than the floodplains. So floodplains and levee formations are basically formed by the deposition in the due course of time of the river. The river load is composed of different size particulars, and when a river floods, the river water overflows the bank and embank and it breaks the bank and inundates the areas around. So the drop too large particulates first, it starts depositing a finer particulates dragging along its course line. Okay, so this is a levee formation, how a levee is formed, and how it can act as a natural barrier towards the earthquake. So low there is a cross section of floodplains, and it can draw a simple sketch of diagram on the label and shows, and another explanation how levees, sand, and clay and silt are formed. Then we have delta formation, that is at the mouth of the river. Delta form from the mouth of the river to many of the world's largest deltas, like Nile, Ganga, that is Brahmaputra Delta, Mississippi, are all larger deltatic formation. So the delta is a flat area of sand and silt built into the sea, and this is formed by uh, basically from depositions, and when a river enters a sea or a lake carrying large volume of a fine material, the velocity slows and causes load to be deposited in layers. So over time, the deposit material blocks channel and forms small islands and separated by the main land through distributaries. Okay, so now we have this is how delta looks like. Okay, so it is, if you see these, there are depositional landforms. All these, ye is our depositional landforms. So delta still growing out into sea of, or into a lake, like Nile River. Uh, Starts from a lake. Similarly, there are many rivers which is flowing into a lake. Okay, little to no current, data are available, so it has been omitted. So deposition of the silt and sea, or lake from a delta, where writers heavily laden with silt for upper reach reaches of the river valley system. Okay, now estuary is no larger delta around the coastal of the coastal lines. Instead, it tides up with with a river, especially typical characteristics with an as antecedent. Sorry, estuaries are widely river valley flood delayed by the tides. And now at low tide, large expanse of wind and sand flats are exposed, which are closely composed by the river, and so on. So the thumbs, hammers, and serene are some types of estuaries in these part. Okay, so now with this I finish off my lecture. I would request all of you to go to your LMS and take the quiz.